All right, I got one more story for you guys, and this one is about wokeism in the Democratic Party. Now, Nomiki Konst went on to Fox News where she had a little debate with a gentleman on there. And honestly, let me see if my picture's up. Okay, there it is. Okay, so this discussion was rather interesting, and I am not a fan of like majority reports per se, but the talking points in this segment were hilarious to me. And one of the things that is going to be discussed, and I want to give you a heads up about this. I don't know if you've heard this or not, but there are at least 30 Democrats that are retiring this year. So there's that. And they're going to touch on that. And they're going to talk about why people are not feeling Joe Biden, why the Democrats are not going to do well this year. So listen to this exchange, you guys. You know what's funny too? So like Nomiki Konst can go onto Fox News and it's okay. But if Jimmy goes on the Fox News or Aaron Mate goes on the Fox News, it's a problem. All right, here we go. Let me share my screen.
Journal editorial board writes it this way. If it can happen in San Francisco, of all places, Democrats should be worried. They need to escape their union bondage and woke fixations. Republicans have a great opportunity to press parental choice on curriculum, charters, and vouchers. The woke may wake up to a far bigger shock in November. Power panel now. T.W. Shannon, former Black Voices for Trump co-chair and former Speaker of the Oklahoma House of Representatives. Nomiki Konst, host of The Nomiki Show and a former national surrogate for Bernie Sanders. It is great to have you both. Let's kick it off. TW. Woke is on its way out if they're not careful, Democrats. Why?
Yeah, there's no question, Harris. I mean, listen, I wish I could take full credit for this as a conservative in the Midwest part of the country, but the reality is the COVIDian tyrants did this to themselves. We've watched this country completely implode under the leadership of Joe Biden. And even before that, we saw the woke agenda of the left completely trying to separate Americans with things like CRT and trying to define us based upon our color of our skin, not the content of our character. They've done it to themselves with these totalitarian policies that only seek to divide Americans and to consolidate power with.
So I want to chime in here for just a second. I understand where he's coming from. By the way, that introduction, Black Voices for Trump, I'm like, really, dude? Really? You want to talk about, you're playing about wokeism and you were introduced as Black Voices for Trump. So it's interesting to me. So he's talking about Joe Biden's presidency. We all know Joe Biden is epic failure. I knew he would not be a good president anyway. I think most of us knew this going into the situation. But what was interesting to me, oh, hold on. How did this get up here? Okay. What's interesting to me is he brought up the fact of like CRT, of course, critical race theory. This is a hot topic, a hot button topic. He is supposed to be the Black person that is supposed to basically show their audience that, hey, Black people have a problem with CRT too. So that is why he is on the show. I just want to be clear here, make that very clear. So anyway, he goes on to talk about CRT and complain about that. He's complaining about the fact that Democrats are too woke and they're pushing this. And I understand where some of that comes from. I think the Democratic Party has they have co-opted so many movements and slogans and they have watered them down and turned them into what they want them to be. And I think that this is just really cringe. But what's funny to me is this is not the number one issue. The reason why people are angry with Joe Biden, the reason why his poll numbers are low, and this includes Democrats too, by the way, who voted for Joe Biden, is not because of the wokeism. It is because of the economic situation that is in this country right now. It is because people still don't have health care. People lost their jobs during the pandemic. People became unhoused during the pandemic. Come September, they laid all these people off of unemployment. Come November, 4 million Americans quit their jobs. They have been overworked in the labor field. They've been abused. People are not even getting pensions. People aren't getting paid family leave. People really started to feel the pressure of the economy and the capitalist system that we have in this country when the pandemic hit. Now, if you've ever been poor or if you've ever been working class, you were already feeling those pressures. What the pandemic did was it pulled the cover off of it. Now everybody sees what's going on. Meanwhile, CEOs doubled their wealth during the pandemic. Not once during this conversation are they going to mention that. They're just going to pretend like it's all because of wokeism. You have to talk about the economy. You have to talk about the class issue, the class divide that we have in this country. And what they're going to do is focus on left versus right and leave the class part out. So let me go back in.
In the Democrat Party, and they did it to themselves. When grandma was dying, Nancy Pelosi was going to get her hair done. When Americans were watching getting pink slips and losing their jobs, you had people like Barack Obama and AOC throwing parties and living on a different standard. That do as I say, not as you see me do. That doesn't work anymore, and Americans are tired of it, and they're going to be rewarded.
Let's be real. Republicans were throwing parties too. You see what I was saying about what they do with the left-right divide? And don't get me wrong, I'm no fan of Barack Obama. And I'm no fan of Nancy Pelosi. But Republicans were doing it too. At the end of the day, this is more about the class divide than it is about left versus right. Those people that he mentioned, yes, they're Democrats, but they're also wealthy. They're rich. That is why they were able to do those things. Let me go back in.
In the midterms for doing what's right and standing up for freedom.
Nomiki, I want to get to a couple of things with you, and you can roll in your rebuttal if you want. But let's pop up the Washington Examiner with this. The hold Democrats once had on cultural issues is breaking. Hence, why dozens of House Democrats are jumping ship now and retiring before the midterm elections, and why the party's House campaign arm warned its candidates this week that if they don't figure out how to combat the GOP's alarmingly potent culture war attacks, they will lose badly. And as of today, 30 House Democrats are either retiring or seeking a different office. Nomiki.
Well, it's
Everybody take a good look at this. You see this? House Democrats not seeking re-election. Some are not running. Some are seeking another office. All of these seats need to be filled. Just wanted to point that out. That is this year.
It's a redistricting year, and so the same thing's happening on the Republican side. That's what happens every redistricting year. But, there was one line there that was very powerful. Combating the Republicans' rhetoric, right? Their attacks. This never let a good crisis go to waste. When Donald Trump was handed the responsibility of really making America the leader in combating COVID, what did he do? He was rallying against the American government and inspiring terrorist attacks on the Capitol.
That's not true.
So you want to talk
That's
about
absolutely not true.
Oh, goodness gracious.
All right, I'm going to step in there because you are putting incendiary things into the conversation. And I know that TW wants to rebut that. So quickly, and we'll come right back to you. Hold on, TW.
Yeah. There's no way we're going to sit and pretend like Donald Trump was promoting terrorism. That you should apologize to American people for saying that. That's just not true. The reality is,
again, they're still keeping the focus on left versus right. Not bringing up the poverty situation. Not bringing up the living wage issue. The reason why Americans are unhappy. It's Trump bad, Biden bad, left versus right.
The reason
Sure,
Democrats are
terrorist
losing
attacks
is
on
because
January 6th.
Joe Biden
The
has
FBI
told us over and
successful.
over that the #1 problem in America is white supremacy, and it's not. That's not what's
Absolutely.
facing Americans. The people
How
that are
would you
losing their jobs is
TW,
not
I'm going to
because
go
of
back
white
to
supremacy.
Nomiki now. I just wanted you to respond on that one point.
Young lady, I live it. I don't have to get paid for
Oh,
it.
don't call me.
Now he's trying to say that the reason why Democrats are losing is because Joe Biden tried to focus on white supremacy. I'm sure that it has nothing to do with the fact that he didn't fulfill his campaign promises. I'm sure it has nothing to do with the fact that he hasn't canceled student loan debt. Nothing to do with the fact that he hasn't given everyone health care in this country. Nothing to do with the fact that he reneged on a lot of these campaign promises. Where's the $15 minimum wage? Where's the living wage? Where are all these things that he said he was going to do? He doesn't bring up any of the issues that actually involve the people. He brings up race. That's why people are mad with Joe Biden, is because of race. Doesn't bring up the issues that people actually have been complaining about, the tangibles that people need. And you know why he's not going to bring up those issues? Because then he's at a conservative audience. Then people will be looking at him saying, oh, well, that's socialism. How can you not fulfill any of these promises? We're in the middle of a pandemic. Going back in.
I'm a young lady, sir.
Ooh.
I'm a
Bless your heart,
grown
ma'am.
woman. I'm a grown woman,
Nomiki.
and you can come up with all the code you want. But the FBI said that the #1 problem in America right now is white supremacy, organized white supremacy that took
Ask the
place
people who lost their
on the
job if it's
lawn
white supremacy.
of the Capitol.
They picked the most stereotypical left-right characters that they could for this discussion. This guy even went the mile to say, bless your heart. That's something that people say down south sometimes, you guys, for those of you who don't know. They picked the most. Look, they picked this guy who's from this organization called Black Voices for Trump. They picked Nomiki Konst, and she comes on here and says, don't you call me ma'am. They picked the most stereotypical, don't you call me lady or young, whatever she said, most stereotypical right and left characters to come onto this show. Do you see what mainstream media does? Let's go back in. Let's go back in.
Capitol. And so, let's talk about the people who lost their jobs, because Republicans are responsible for tax breaks for the wealthiest. They have no interest in unionized efforts. They're union busters. So if we want to talk about the real issues, you're making all these code words to distract away from the fact that people
Let's
are
talk about the real.
Joe Biden isn't doing any better. So you can't just blame some of these things. You can't just blame on Republicans. Let's just be real. Everybody was crying about the kids in the cages when Trump was in office. Now all of a sudden we're just pretending there's no kids in cages. By the way, they've been starving some of those kids at the border. They've been force feeding them. Now all of a sudden AOC and the rest of them are not crying down at the border saying, "Oh my God." Ah. None of it. None of it. This is so much theater. This is so much theater. I swear to God. Let me go back in.
Real issues.
And Republicans
Let's talk about the real
doing
issues.
nothing to save them.
So I want to jump back in here because the far left agenda in your party, and of course you were a surrogate for Bernie Sanders. So you saw that your party picked more mainstream, so they thought. That's not exactly what they're getting right now, but that's what they thought. So let's just go back to the idea that now your brand, so to speak, is getting voted out potentially.
Did you guys just catch that word that she just said? She referred to it as her brand. Not her ideology, not her politics. She said her brand. Yes, Joy Duncan, your brand. Do you see what I mean? Let's go back in. Let's go back in.
People are saying, no, we're done with this. We want you to focus on inflation and those bigger issues. What do you say about that?
What people are saying that? When they say people are saying, who are they talking about? Who are the people that are worried about inflation? Who? Mention that.
If you look around the country to where the people who are not running for office again or switching districts, they're pretty much in more conservative districts. So those are the centrists of the party. You know, Todd Kaminsky, a senator in New York, just said he was stepping down. Catherine Rice said she was stepping down. Those are the conservative Democrats who realize that working people they don't want business Democrats.
Here we go again. We got someone who's wealthy talking about what working people want. Do you guys see it now? You know how many times I saw this happen over the years? Watching the news, even in left independent media. You have all these people who are coming from wealth, privilege, money, talking about what working people want. Why didn't Fox News bring on someone of the working class? She doesn't know. She doesn't know. I'm going to tell you something about Nomiki in a second. She doesn't know.
They want Democrats who protect unions, organized labor, and you know all those attacks against the school boards right now. That's an attack against labor.
Harris, you've got to let me respond.
Let me hold on 1 second. Let me just put one more thing in here. In California, we're looking at erosion of support for Feinstein and Pelosi. Pelosi is not exactly in the middle mainstream right now. She's being pulled a bit to the left in the House by AOC and some of the other so-called.
Oh my God, this woman needs to stop lying with these lies. Did you hear what she just said? She said Pelosi's not in the middle. She's being pulled to the left. On what? Didn't Pelosi just come out and say she's against defunding the police? Didn't she say that's not the direction we're moving with the party? She's against Medicare for all. She's against defunding the police. She's against canceling student loan debt. She lied to everybody and told people Joe Biden can't do it. Joe Biden can do that by executive order. What has Pelosi done that has moved her to the left? Oh, I know this woman is not trying to tell this lie. Get out of here. Are you kidding me? See, this is why I couldn't be on that show. This is why I couldn't be on that show, because I would say exactly just like, I would honestly, after she would have said that, I would have been like, girl, I know you need to get out of here with that lie. Let's go back in.
Called squad members. So I hear what you're saying, but that is a cobalt blue state and one in which progressive politics are very, very hot. I want to get to this. Turns out people in the Golden State, again, which is actually very blue, are souring on President Biden. A new poll shows that for the first time in that state, more voters disapprove of his job performance than approve of it. A huge change he had, as approval rating of nearly 60% just last summer, and won that state, both of them. That team right there on the screen won the state by 30 points. Brutal numbers for the Vice President, Kamala Harris, from her home state voters. Only 38% approve. What's happening out there? TW, I'm coming to you.
Well, you've got two real issues, I think, that are facing American people, Harris. Number one, COVID. The young lady on the panel mentioned the COVID numbers. More people have died from COVID under under this president than died under Donald Trump. Biden has overseen.
He forgot his name. Hold up, watch. Hold up. Listen to this, you guys. Watch.
Well, you've got two real issues, I think, that are facing American people, Harris. Number one, COVID. The young lady on the panel mentioned the COVID numbers. More people have died from COVID under this president.
He forgot Biden's name. Oh God. I'm sorry. That was funny to me.
than died under Donald Trump. Biden has overseen the pandemic. He was handed not only a vaccine,
People who are not
he was
vaccinated
handed,
are dying.
that's not true. That's
Just
not true.
because
People all over the world are
very
dying
true.
because Joe Biden has failed to lead on
They
the
don't
issue.
have
And the
access to
second
vaccines,
is the
vaccine
economy.
inequity.
They have been unable
TW
to generate
and
economy that
Nomiki,
produces
thank you.
jobs.
You may
Did you guys notice something? Once he mentioned the economy, she was like, oh, that's it. We got to wrap. We got to wrap. We got to wrap. As soon as he mentioned the economy, she was like, TW, we want to thank you and Nomiki for coming on. They gave her that cue really quick. The gentleman standing behind the teleprompter is like, cut, we got to go. We got to go. They don't want you to talk about that. Don't get into the money. Let's go. Let's go. Oh my God. What a catastrophe. What a catastrophe. I want to show you something really quick. Doobie doobie doo. Doop 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 doobie doobie doop 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 doop. Watch this. I told you I was going to show you something about Nomiki Konst. I told you guys you have a lot of people who are not a part of working class, never been working class, speaking for working class people on these issues. Watch this. You see this? Let me make this bigger. Nomiki Konst's mom. How many of you knew this? This is Nomiki Konst's mom. Kathy Konst was an elected legislator in New York State. How many of you knew that? What did I tell you? What did I tell you? Oh my God. Working class, though. Working class. Let me go tell you what these working class people want, man. A joke. A joke.